All right. Black history, white hate. I had to start early because we got a lot to go over. Give me that in Jeremiah 6:16. Black history, white hate. Now, this class is inspired out of Black History Month. You know, all these videos and these things, programs they putting together, and like I've mentioned before, even on FCN, it's watered down. It's very watered down history. Give me that Jeremiah 6:16.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and verse 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths.
Now that's one thing that, and I'm learning this more and more in this truth, that you know, the generation that is after me, they do not care anything about the old past. They can care less about anything that happened before them at all. But God is telling us we got to ask for those old paths. God's saying you need to be a historian. You need to be somewhat of a historian. You might not be a scholar, but you need to be a historian. So people can throw stuff out there at you. Be like, oh, yeah, that's right. That sounds true. And they can be lying to you like crazy. But you don't know nothing about the old paths. Read it again.
Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls.
Now, because we're going into Black history, right? A lot of us, when you actually understand the history that happened before you got here, you do find rest to your souls. It answers a lot of the questions that you have in your mind of why things are the way that they are now. You have to go to the old path, be a historian to get some rest to your soul. I know for me, when I found out the history of who I was and we was as a people, I got rest for my soul. All those questions that I had of why we on the bottom, why my neighborhood look like this. I don't know about y'all. Some of y'all a little older and younger. Yeah, you know. But I know when I came home from college, it was a visiting college, I think. I don't know if I came home from college. But it was around the time of the Bush housing crisis, the foreclosure. What was that thing called? The bubble. That's what it was called. The bubble, and the housing market crash. I came home. I don't know if it was out of college or visiting college, but all the houses in my neighborhood was boarded up. I just can't. College, the lawn is manicured. All the buildings look nice. Ain't no trash on the ground nowhere. You on one side of the railroad tracks. Esau Place is looking nice, but when you get to ours, it's trash everywhere. The houses was boarded up. Businesses was closed down. And I thought to myself, why is it us that's living like this? I didn't have answers. I needed them, but once I found them, I got some rest to my soul. Read on.
And ye shall find rest for your souls, but they said, we will not walk therein.
But a lot of our people don't care about history. They do not care at all. They could care less about it. They only living for today and the future. But when you don't know what went on before you, you bound to repeat the same mistakes. Go to Psalm 77 and 5. Let's see what David said about that.
The book of Psalms, chapter 77 and verse 5.
77, yeah, verse 5. Read that.
I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times.
So our forefather David, the king, was a historian somewhat. He said, I considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. And a lot of you brothers that are in here now, and the little bit of history that you are getting from us, because it's so much, we can't dive into it all in one session. You are way smarter than the average Joe that goes to school on a daily basis. I'm telling you, kids and you teenagers, y'all know more about y'all history than them kids in school would ever know. I guarantee now, some stuff y'all learn here, y'all can go drop on them. They're like, man, you deep. You 13, 14 years old. How you know that? You can tell adults, they be like, how you know that, young boy? Like, I'm an Israelite. That's why I know that. I consider the ancient times, the days of old. Now, where would David get that thought from? It's a psalm of Asaph. So Asaph wrote it. But he said, I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. Where did Asaph hear that at before? Does anybody know? Go to Job 8. This is where he got it from. Job chapter 8. And let's start at verse 8.
The book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing.
We just now getting here. I know with some of us, we think we old, 40, 50 years, 60, 70 years old. We feel old, but that's just a blip in the time of eternity. Go ahead.
Because our days upon earth are a shadow.
We here today, gone tomorrow. Read on.
Shall not they teach thee, and tell thee, and utter words out of their heart?
So if you inquire about the former age, it'll teach you about where you are right now. It'll teach you about where you're heading also. But you have to inquire about that. Now, here's my question. Why would we as a people have to inquire? Why would we have to research? Why would we have to do research? Yeshua, why would God be telling us to research?
Because it's the only true way out.
The only true way out? Okay. Paul, what do you say? Only true way out?
We have to research because we lost our heritage.
Okay, we lost our heritage. Amosa. Let's see what Amosa got.
Because billions and billions of dollars have been put.
What's going on with the mics, y'all? Go ahead.
Billions of dollars was used to hide our history.
Okay, billions of dollars was used to hide that. It's a good one. Go to Deuteronomy 28. Fix the mics, man. Deuteronomy 28, and let's read verse 45.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Until thou be destroyed. A lot of times we don't think about it. Now, how do we know that this is not talking about physically? How do we know it's not talking about physically? Because it says thou be destroyed. It's going into spiritually. And a lot of times we don't think about the other way. I'm going to give it to you. But how do we know it's not talking about physically? Jeremiah, let's see what you got. Because that's the curse. Thou be destroyed. How do we know it's not talking about physically? Okay, 62 says we will be left few in number. Let's see. All right, we got that one. Anybody else? Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay. All right, go to Jeremiah 31. We're going to learn some things on our way to learning some things. Jeremiah 31, read verse 35.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31 and verse 35. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me.
So if the moon, the sun, and all of that stop shining, read on.
Saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Is that verse 37?
Verse 37, thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured.
Now, how many heavens is it? How many heavens is it that we know of in the scriptures that it talks about? Just say it. 3 of them, right? If it could be measured above, read on.
And the foundations of the earth searched out beneath.
So that lets you know that God's saying that it's places in the ocean that they still ain't touched. Go ahead.
I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's let you know when we go back to Deuteronomy 28:45, read that again.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Till thou be destroyed spiritually and mentally. Not physically. Go to Romans 11. It's not talking about physically being destroyed. Here's some more proof of it. Make sure y'all writing these precepts down, because People out there gonna be like, who in here about showing hands has ever heard of spiritual Israel? Oh, okay. You make sure you write these precepts down there. This is where they get it from. Read that, Romans 11, and let's read 1 and 2.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God hath not cast away his people which he foreknew.
So it's telling you, Paul's quoting Jeremiah 31. He understood by the old paths that Israel would never be cast away as a people. Never. So that lets you know there's never be a spiritual Israel. Go to Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41, and let's read verse 8 and 9.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 41 and verse 8.
So just give me some precepts about us not being cast away, not being destroyed physically. Go ahead.
But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend.
Abraham was God's friend. Read on.
Thou, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant.
Israel is God's servant. Go ahead.
I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away.
I have not cast thee away. Go to Ezekiel 37. These some precepts for that till thou be destroyed spiritually and mentally, not physically. Ezekiel 37. Now, get your thinking caps on. I'm going to ask you a question. 37, let's read 16, 17.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 16.
Read verse 15.
Verse 15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Now, who are the companions of Judah? Who were the companions? Simon. Who are the companions of Judah?
The tribe of Benjamin and Levi.
Tribe of Benjamin and Levi. You can find that in the book of Ezra. It tells you when we came out of the Persian captivity, Benjamin and Levi went with Judah back to the land. Remnants of the northern kingdom went also, but the bulk of them came here. All right. Read on.
And write upon it for Joseph the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions.
So Joseph is, when it says Joseph, it's referring to Ephraim. So who are his companions? Who are his companions? Who is Ephraim's companions? Mordecai. Let's see.
The rest of the northern kingdom, or Joseph had Manasseh and Ephraim.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be the rest of the northern kingdom.
The rest of the northern kingdom. They are his companions. All right, now read verse 17.
Verse 17. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
Now here's my question. Sticks come from where, brothers? Where they come from? Trees. Who in here has read Romans 11 before? By show of hands. Romans 11? Nobody in here? I've only got 5, 6 brothers that have read Romans 11. Man, y'all brothers better. Sisters, how many of y'all have read Romans 11? Okay. Whoa, y'all got a lot of reading to do. That's how you get caught up in the delusions of the world where it talk about Gentiles being grafted in, because you ain't never read Romans 11. Romans 11 is Ezekiel 37, the two trees coming back together again. That's Judah, southern kingdom, and Israel, northern kingdom. The branches coming back together again. That's what it's talking about here in Ezekiel 37. We'll go over it another day. Read verse 17 again.
Verse 17. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
So in Romans 11, Paul is talking about the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom coming back to be one people again. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. Let's read 45 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45.
Now we went there to show you about the destroy, right? It's not talking about physically, it's talking about spiritually and mentally. Read that.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Read on.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Until he has destroyed thee. Now, a lot of times when we go over this in the want of all things, we throw out a lot of stuff. But one thing we forget to mention is destroy us through education. We don't never think about that. That's the greatest way to destroy a nation of people on a mass scale, because it's done every single day. If you don't send your kids to school, what do? Who here got kids? What do they do if you don't send them to school? Eliab, what do they do? Let's see. Oh, the microphone.
They threaten you to put you in jail.
They threaten to put you in jail. They ain't doing that for no reason. They doing that so they can continue the destruction of a people. Right. Esau, that's what the scriptures say. Esau, the mind of every one of them is deep. They know how to keep you in control. They know how to keep you destroyed. Make sure they come to school. They can only miss a certain amount of days. And if they miss it too long, send the police. Because we got to continue this destruction of a nation.
Hey, Kat, you know what's heavy about that? When you read the Bible, you never read where we send our children off to school.
Nah,
you never read
nations?
that.
Nah,
you always read, and the aged women likewise, or the fathers will teach them and they walk by the way.
Yep.
We never send our children off to any place to get education. But now to destroy us. Esau said, listen, and the nation said, we have to get the kids.
Yep.
And make sure we indoctrinate them so we can what? Their kids would. This cycle continues and continues and continues. Yep. That destruction.
Exactly right. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you never read in the Bible. You seen our own people sent to the other nation to learn their heritage. Or even nothing.
Let me send you to the Philistines to teach you about who you are.
Right.
Make sure you show up every day.
Yeah, on time.
Officer Eliab. Let me send you down there to the land of Edom.
The thing about it, Cap, when we were trying to get our daughter into it, when we went for that practice, they had to teach us how to have homeschool for them. When we went in there was a total of 35 families in there, right? Northern Kingdom, there was only 3. And in Southern Kingdom, there's only 2. Everybody else was Ishmael and everything else.
Dang. So our people are getting sent out to that system of education, further destruction on a grand scale on a daily basis.
And the way they try to discourage you is that if you don't send your kids, they're gonna be weird. They're not gonna have no socialization.
Yeah, that's what they say.
This, that, and the other. When everything around them isn't socializing them. Their whole families or whatever, they discourage you by, now you're thinking, damn, I'm gonna have a weird child if I don't send them to Esau's school.
Yep.
That's not true.
The furthest thing from the truth.
And another trap that they doing now, well, it's all, but they come to your house. Say if you do go decide to do homeschool, they go to your house and check. The spreadsheet. They see if you qualify to do homeschool. And you miss one little thing, you didn't get this area amount of space. Shut down.
Send him to the public school system.
You gotta send him.
We need to destroy him. Yep. Go to Revelation 11 and 8.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
Okay, going back to the top of the verse, their dead bodies. What kills us? What's a precept to show? Because remember, I just went from Deuteronomy 28 and Jeremiah 31, Isaiah 41 to show you it's not talking about physically destroying us, but spiritually and mentally. So what's the precepts? Because you read this, you be like, that's a contradiction. It just said they dead bodies gonna lay in the street. How do we know this ain't talking about physical? Mordecai.
Because it says in Proverbs 21 and 16, it talks about how our people lie in the congregation of the dead.
Congregation of the dead. Okay.
And that's not talking about physically a congregation of the dead, but it's mentally when we leave off the laws.
Okay. Let's go to this precept. Go to Ephesians 2. I'm gonna give you a precept. We don't use it all the time, but it tells you what it means about the dead bodies. How it's not physically, it's spiritually and mentally. Ephesians 2. Let's read 1 through 5.
Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 1. And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins.
So he made you alive. He brought you back to life because you were dead in your sins. Read on.
Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world.
Now this is what made you dead. You can't walk if you're dead, okay? So this ain't The Walking Dead, okay? That is made up. It's fictional, y'all. Ain't gonna be no zombie apocalypse in 2022. Read that part again.
Verse 2, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world.
This is what kills you, the course of this world, being conformed to this world. Read on.
According to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
Satan. Go ahead.
Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind.
So this is what's killing us. This is your dead bodies that's lying in the street. Go ahead.
And were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Christ. By grace ye are saved.
So let's go back to Revelation 11 and 8. So that's what killed the lust of this of the flesh, the lust of this world, the envies, the murders. That's what makes you a dead body walking around. It ain't just because you got blood pumping through your soul. No, if you ain't keeping these laws of God, you a dead man walking. Dead sister walking. Read verse 8 again.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Of that great city. Now let's go to Revelation 17 and 18 to show you that great city that it's talking about.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
That great city, that great country rules over all the earth. Read on. Is that it on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so jump back to verse 5. Let's get the name of that great city that rules over all the earth.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
So America is written in the Bible. Now it's important to know that because what our people say about the Bible? Oh, that's old. That was written thousands of years ago. We are in modern times. But America's literally written in the Bible, but it's called Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. That's the name that God calls America in the Bible. That great city that rules over all the earth. All right? Let's go back to Revelation 11 and 8.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Now this is going to prove to you even more that it's talking about America. Read on.
Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Now, spiritually called, not physically Sodom, it's not physically Egypt, but it's spiritually. those two places. Now, I got some pictures. Let's deal with the Sodom part. Pull up those pictures that's in the group. And I want y'all, brace yourself, y'all, because this is going to get a little crazy. Now, who in here watches the Marvel movies and all of that stuff, right? The Infinity War, the Endgame. We like all of those movies, right? We like Thor and Thanos. I like Thanos. That was my guy. But let's show you what they decided to do to one of our people's characters. Pull it up. This is just drop. This is news. Just drop. Read that for us back there, Soldier.
The MCU's first openly gay superhero will be Fastus, portrayed by actor Brian Tyree Henry in The Eternals, confirms actor
blah 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 yakety yak. Now, y'all remember that face, right? Y'all know what he played in ATL with the rapper dude.
No, ATL. Somebody.
Yeah, but his name's different. What's his real name? The dude that made This Is America, Donald Glover. He was Donald Glover's homeboy in ATL. And he's hardcore in that movie. Yeah, he's trying to be an aspiring rapper. But they made sure that it's our people that's going to play the first openly gay actor in the MCU. Superhero. They made sure they put that label on us. Go to the next picture. Remember, it said this place is spiritually Sodom. Next one. Oh! Jesus. That dude's name is Billy Porter. He's a Broadway play actor. He used to be a singer back in the day. I found out he was singing a song. I saw it on the thing. I clicked on it, and I watched it for a little bit. This is when he was showing himself that he liked women. But the way he was moving in the video, if a man saw that, you'd be like, so hey, watch that brother right there. Watch him. He got some effeminate tendencies, the way he moving and ooh. Go back to it. So this is him. This is what he doing. The red carpet, he got that black dress on, and then he got the little feather peacock dress on. And then he took it to the next level. He wore what you call those sundress? Yeah, I saw the one this past one. I'm gonna save that for another class. I think I'm saving that for something else. But he came out there to, I don't know what and zoom in on it if you can. I'm gonna show you what he got on his shoulders and stuff. Zoom in as much as you can, and can you drag it over? Oh, there's butterflies. There's butterflies all over his body. Scroll down on that picture. With his nails painted white. This place is spiritually Sodom. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this out is because you don't see no other people dressing like that. You don't see Esau hit the red carpet like that. That stuff is pushed on our people. And he's about to be on Sesame Street in a dress. And he said, if you don't like it, don't watch. But he going to make sure all your kids see him in a dress. Is that all the pictures for Sodom? Go ahead, officer.
Yeah, so
oh yeah, hold on. This is what's that dude's name? Lil Nas X. Old time country road. He go ride it till he come back home, whatever it is. This is him at the Grammys. He came out as a little young dude. He's openly sodomite now. Look at that. Spiritually Sodom. You got one more? Go ahead. Hold on. Officer Abaddon here, sir.
Yeah. So, Cap, you made a point there. You said that he's going to be on Sesame Street. So, brothers, what will be the point?
Right.
What will be the point of putting those characters, those depictions, on a child's show like Sesame Street? What will be the point of doing that? All the way in the back, gray shirt. The young prophet. Yeah, a child. Let me see what a child. Keep the mic on.
Okay.
No mic. Scream it out.
It's to input the image.
To input the image is something else. Something else. Paul, brother Paul. What's the point of putting that on a child's show?
To influence the kids to do the same as he.
To influence? Well, they're putting it to normalize it. To make it seem, because if you learn that from young, by the time you hit our age,
yeah,
it's normal. It doesn't phase you. It becomes a norm. Look at it right there. A normal thing in society. You now associate sodomy with normal way of living.
Whew. Go back to Revelation 11 and let's read verse 8. So spiritually called Sodom. Read that verse again.
Revelation chapter 11 verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Now, I want to go back and backtrack a little bit. Revelation 17, where it talks about this great city it rules over all. It is able to push Sodom on everybody, right? Pull up the article about how America became the greatest country. It's the first one in there. Let's pull it up. How America became the most powerful country on earth in 11 maps. Because it said this rules over. I know we read it a lot, but we don't actually know the detailed history of how it came to be about, how prophecy was fulfilled. Scroll down. I'm going to read it real quick. Because of the war that left North America vulnerable to British conquest and thus ready for the U.S. expansion. Scroll down. Does that map move? You got any movement on it? Okay, scroll down. So hold on. If you look at it, I don't want to spend too much time. How it was divided up, you got the French in the purple, the British in the green, and you got the Spanish got all of the South and Central America, right? We see all of that. And then you see on the next map a few years later how things began to change. The British ruled more of it, right? Go down. Keep going. We ain't going to read none of that. I just want to look at the pictures, right? Scroll up. It says, by stealing Native Americans' lands for an entire century. So look at the poster down right here, the image in a map. It's going to show you how it happened. So this is all the land Gad had. Here comes America. Ten-year increments. Those are the reservations. Those little green dots were the reservations. Scroll down to the next one. So they took Gad's land. By taking land, what? Come on, y'all, work with me. What the hell? By taking land from Mexico in another war. Let's see the map. So this is the Mexican-American War. Because y'all know all of Texas used to be considered Mexico. They took that. Scroll down. It says, by choosing to become a European-style imperial power. Go ahead. Keep going. So you see United States right there. Little b old Puerto Rico. Now I think that map moves, but we ain't got time for it to move. Go ahead. Keep going. Let's go to the next map. Come on. Through colonialism in the Pacific and stealing Hawaii. So this is 11 maps. Go ahead. Go to the next one. Because World War I devastated Europe and not the U.S. They were strategic. They made sure war never came to this land. Still to this day, they make sure the war is always fought on that side of the world. Scroll down. Because World War II devastated Europe and Asia. So you can see right there where it was fought. All the places that it affected. Military deaths of major powers. Go ahead. Because European colonialism collapsed, but not the American or Russian empires. So it's showing you how it took over. That's 1492, and this is how all the other nations began to take over every other thing, right? And then you'll see America turn light purple, and now you'll see all the other nations begin to decrease in power, but look what happens to America. America never got touched. They never lost their power. Next one. By dividing up the world in the Cold War. Dividing up the world, right? They gave certain sections to certain countries. They divided it up, separated it, right? Yep. NATO's in there. Go ahead. Go down to the next one. Because Europe unified under American-dominated NATO, 1949. Look at the time lapse on it. This is where America started to rule overseas because NATO had their back. NATO means the National Alliance of something. But look at this. You'll see America got power over seas. They rule all of that. All right. Next one. By outspending the next dozen countries combined on defense. Scroll down. Let's see that light purple. That's in the billions. It says the top 15 military budget 2013 in billions of dollars. 600 billion for America. Now it's up to 700 billion because they added the Space Force. But this is how much the other countries spend on defense. America outspends them tenfold.
That goes to show you how much the other nations hate America, right? Because look how little that they spend on their defense, but America got to spend them 600 times over because they know as soon as they decrease it,
they come.
Australia is coming. Yep. Australia ain't never known to attack nobody. Australia gonna come, but they got to outspend them because they know that everybody else hate them.
Scroll down. That might be the last one. Oh, here we go. By virtue of America's scientific edge and its democracy, creativity, and draw for immigrants. So they started to let other people in. Go ahead. They took the best and the brightest minds from other nations. So that's the last one. Okay, so that's how they became that great city that rules over all the nations. I know we read Revelation and 17 a lot, but we don't know the actual things that happened throughout time for America to get where it is now. So we're going back to Revelation 11 and 8. Started from the top again.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Sodom and Egypt. Let's go to some of those pictures. Let's go to some of those pictures of Sodom and Egypt. Now look at that. We see that's us in the field, right? This place is Egypt. Next one. Now these are some pictures from the walls of Egypt. Where does it look like those people are at? They're in the what? In the fields. Hard bondage, right? Go to the next one. Okay, go back one. Go back another one. Now go to Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1, and I'm on 13 and 14.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
Where they serve at, though? Read on.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field.
In the where?
In the field.
Now remember, we in Revelation 11 and 8. Go back to it. Read it again.
Revelation Chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
So we would be doing the same thing in this spiritual Egypt that you did in the physical Egypt, right? Go back to the pictures. Here's some more Egypt that it's talking about. Keep going. Same thing we did here, the same thing we did there. Next one. Now here's some more about this place being Egypt. That is Memphis, Tennessee. That's shocking that America would have the what do you call it, the Sphinx and a pyramid and all the, you see right there on the bottom, all the little lions lined up sitting in front of Pharaoh. That's Memphis, Tennessee right there. This place is spiritual Egypt. Next one. Where's this is Broward, you said, officer?
Yeah. How many of y'all went to Broward College? Down in Davie. That's right there at the cemetery, right next to the college.
They got a pyramid.
Where you bury your dead.
That's odd. Let's go to the next picture. Then the Lord made sure he reminded you every single day. Every single day. They put it on the dollar bill, a pyramid, and their symbol. Keep that up and read Revelation 11 and 8 again.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Because they are spiritually and mentally dead. Go ahead.
Which is spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
Now, go back some on these pictures, because I'm looking at it now. Y'all skipped some pictures. Is one before that? Ain't it a picture before that? Oh, all right. Okay. Good job, Sabbath audio booth. Okay, so we see that picture right there, right? Now go to Exodus 1. Go to Exodus chapter 1 and let's read verse. You see them? Yeah. Okay, so good job, Sabbath audio. Drop the ball. Let's read Exodus 1 and let's read verse 8.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt. Which hold
on. I forgot the part. Dang. Now it said where our Lord was crucified. Go back to the next picture. Go to the next picture that's on there. After the money. So you got the symbols. You got a pyramid and you got the American symbol. Your first captivity, your last captivity on the dollar bill, right? The Lord left signs for you where you would be. Go to the next picture. It says where our Lord was crucified. Now here's another way. Here's a way right here where the Lord is crucified. How many different religions are there in the U.S.? Because really, it's a physical, it's a spiritual Egypt. Who knows one thing about Egypt? What was it? How did they do with their gods? Let's see, David. How did they go down with their gods?
They had many different gods.
You got to speak up, man.
They had many different gods.
Many different gods. They had one for every day of the year, to be exact. 360 or 65, however you mean. Egypt, America does the same thing. They just make it religions. It says, how many different religions are there in the U.S.? Over 310 religions and denominations in the United States. Go to the next picture. Here's how they crucify the Lord. Oh, there you go. Good old. Now look who they got. We all know what happened to Kobe Bryant and his daughter recently. They made sure Kobe Bryant was going to meet white Jesus in heaven. Made the angels white. This is how they crucify our Lord, by changing his image and the doctrine he taught. He taught the laws of God. He didn't teach religion. Okay. Go to the video. I want to show y'all this. Let me hear this. Pull up the video, and I'm gonna show you this. Now, where's it at? I can't see nothing. It shouldn't be just a white screen. Hit play. It shouldn't be just a white screen. There you go. Okay. Pause it. Just hit spacebar, y'all. Stop with the mouse 100 times. Now, y'all see Jesus here, right? It's how to draw Jesus by using just the words. What y'all think that Jesus going to end up looking like? Let's see. This is how they crucify him. Let's see. I'm telling you, we in spiritual Egypt. Babylon the Great. Oh, there you go. Good old white Jesus. Your friendly neighborhood white man. They give him the old hippie stash. The dog hair. And then in this, they make him look like he's the humpback of Notre Dame. Okay, look how they make this. Let's see what they do with his hand. Let's see. They're gonna give him the good white Jesus hand. Oh, hello. Pause it. Now, drop the black bars. Look, drop the black bars. Let's see how many people watch this. What's the count on that? How many does it say back there? I can't see it.
368,776 views.
And when did that come out?
February 1st, 2020.
2 weeks, 300-something thousand views. This is how they crucify our Lord here in spiritual Egypt.
The comments.
I don't want to look at the comments, no. All right, back at it. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1, and let's read verse 8.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
So that's why we are not the minority. We're the majority on the earth. Go ahead.
Come on. Let us deal wisely with them.
Let us deal wisely with them. For what reason? Read on.
Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So now they're not going to ship us back to where we came from because they in cahoots with Israel, with the Jewish people. So they're not going to send you back where you came from. They ain't got nothing to do with you, nowhere for you to go. So now they got to deal wisely with you. That's why I went to Revelation 8 to show you that this place, Babylon the Great, is spiritual Sodom and Egypt, and they deal with us the same way that they dealt with us in the physical landmass of Egypt. They deal wisely with us. Now, we just saw the first one where they deal wisely with us through the spirituality with the 310 denominations, the white Jesus image, and things of that nature, right? Here's a second way they deal wisely with us. It's economically. Go to that article I got. This is why the wealth gap. We brought this out on FC. I want to zoom in on that thing. I want everybody in here to understand they still in captivity. Zoom in on it some more and read it when you get it. Read that.
This is why the wealth gap between black and white Americans persists. Two academics at the Ohio State University contend, in our view, education alone cannot address the centuries-long exclusion of blacks from the benefits of wealth-generating policies.
That's for the smart Negro. Go ahead. Go read the first two paragraphs right there.
Black History Month has become the time to reflect.
When?
Has become the time.
No, when?
Black History Month.
Black History Month. Go ahead.
Has become the time to reflect on all the progress black Americans have made. But the sobering reality is that when it comes to wealth, the paramount indicator of economic security, there has been virtually no progress in the last 50 years.
In 50 years. This is after all the degrees that we done got. Black folk as a whole, you still ain't got no money. I know it
Progress.
hurts. I know it hurts. A lot of people sitting like, I got money, right? I got paid yesterday. What are you talking about? No, you didn't. You got crumbs. You got the crumbs from that $1 billion industry that they got. Give him some crumbs so he won't be violent.
What progress? We was on the bottom when we got here. We was on the bottom in the 20s. We was on the bottom in the 60s. We on the bottom in 2020.
That says 50 years. We still there.
Yeah. In the 20s, the brothers and the sisters had oil fields. They lost it. Citgo, Exxon, and all of them got it now. They had businesses. They lost. They had banks. They lost it. What progress?
We're gonna go into all of that. Go back to it. Read the second paragraph. Based on
data from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finance.
So this is fact. Some people don't want to believe it. No, they've got Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finance. This is fact. Black folk ain't got no money. Read on.
The typical black family has only 10 cents for every dollar held by the typical white family.
I know that hurts y'all. That's why. Now I understand where the saying, because you can't pinpoint it, but now you know where we get trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Now you know where it came from. But we had too much on it. It's really 10 cents. Try to make $1 out of 10 cents. We ain't got 15 cents. Go back to the article and scroll all the way down to the bottom. We going into the dealing wisely with them.
I got something, Cap. Yeah, so
no, I ain't got time for scripts. I got too much.
Okay, no problem.
Too much. Go all the way down to the bottom. I ain't even halfway through my class, y'all. Keep going. Keep going. We're going all the way down to the bottom where it says building new wealth. All the way down to the bottom, look for new wealth. Building new wealth. There we go. Read those paragraphs for us.
Building new wealth. Nonetheless, blacks have still been able to overcome tremendous odds.
We have, right? That's what we celebrate in Black History Month. Go ahead.
Particularly in acquiring education.
We ain't dumb out here. Go ahead.
Social science research indicates that blacks attain more years of schooling.
Look at this. Go ahead.
And education credentials than whites from families with comparable resources.
Look at this. They tell you black people spend more time in college, grad school, what you call those places, trade school, tech school, than any other people on the face of the earth. It says social science research indicates that blacks attain more years of schooling and education credentials than whites. Okay, so read in other words.
In other words, blacks place a premium on education as a means of mobility.
All of us have been taught, get a good education so you can get a what, brothers? You can get a what, sisters? We was all taught that. Read it. Read the next paragraph.
Despite this investment, the racial wealth gap expands at higher levels of education.
It gets even higher, even more. It's getting the wealth. Basically saying we're getting poor. As time goes on, we're getting poor as a people. Because the inflation is going up, but the pay's not going up. Oh, we all know that one. So, yeah, okay. So y'all feeling that one. Black families, read that.
Black families where the head graduated from college have less wealth than white families where the head dropped out of high school.
Oh, that hurts. Look at that, man. We get a master's, and the dude that barely made it out of high school that's white make more money than us. Oh.
Cap, he didn't even make it. He dropped out.
Oh, did it say that?
Yeah, it said he dropped.
Oh, he dropped out.
He dropped out.
He dropped out and got the six-figure paycheck.
It's gonna say it too right here. Go back to the graph. So blacks less than high school, we make $1,500. A white dude dropout makes $34,000 a year, almost $35,000.
And a guy in college, he work at Walmart now.
Yeah, it's gonna say this: high school graduate, $3,200. $78,000. Unbelievable. That's how much more money they make. Some college, you might did 2 years.
Yeah.
You might went to Broward. It didn't go to, you didn't go to FAU after that.
Went to the community college.
You went to the community college. Go back to it. Come on, man. 7,100, they making 86,000. College degree, 23,000. $180,000. Post college, that's your graduates, your master's degrees. 84,000, it pays. But for Esau, $293,100. It says up there, a 2011 study shows that white Americans have more wealth than black Americans, regardless of education level. Now,
they're not racist.
Now, go to the next one. We got a video. No, now here's the third way that they deal wisely with us. It's through watered down education. So the first one was spiritually. The second one was economically. We've seen that. The stats prove that. The third way is watered down education. I want you to pull up that video and play it. You're going to feel good. I know you sisters, y'all going to love this.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Black excellence is still at an all-time high. Back with me is Angela Rye, Macaulay Sellers, April Ryan, and Andrew Gillen to talk about it.
Don, we're not new to this. We're true to this.
True to what?
To overcome it and doing the dang thing.
Can't argue with that.
Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, Miss America, and Miss Universe were all black women.
Mahershala, Ruth Carter, Hannah Beachler, and Peter Ramsey made history at the Oscars.
And Spike finally got his.
The American Medical Association elected
a black woman, Dr. Patricia Harris.
Coco Gauff broke new ground on the tennis court
at just 15. Ava's still avaing, Will's still willing, Issa's still Issa-ing, and everyone is still working to make our ancestors proud.
Let's talk about my man, Robert F. Smith. He was the commencement speaker at Morehouse College and took paying it forward to a whole new level by paying off all student loans for the class of 2019, totaling $34 million. Or how about Tyler Perry and the historic opening of his film studio, Black Panther, Bad Boys for Life, Coming to America 2, the Miss Universe pageant, and a Democratic presidential debate were all filmed there.
And speaking of the debate, vote. Y'all, please vote.
We can't forget about Jordan Peele's Us. It had the best opening for an original horror film ever. And if you haven't done it already, go see Just Mercy and learn more about Bryan Stevenson.
Do we have time to talk about how much we love Gabrielle Union? We're out of time, but Black excellence is here to stay. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month 2020. Now you watch it, it make you feel all good. We come so far as a people. Look at all this black excellence. And then they threw the kids on you, so you can't be mad at it. You can't do nothing but smile like, oh, ain't they so cute? Go to that next video. This is the third way they deal wisely with us. We dealing with that. It's watered down education. Pull up that next video. A celebration of black history. There are moments in American history. Let's play that. Pause it real quick. So I'm going to set it up for you. So what they're about to do is go through the most searched for things in history on Google. They're going to show you what the most searched for things are in history on Google. And let's just show who it happens to be. Please excuse the whoredom. You don't know no better.
But just like life. All right.
Air Jordan, ready to take off.
Can I get an amen?
And welcome to the very first National Oprah Winfrey Show!
Exodus. Go back to Exodus. Let's read chapter 1, verse 8 through 10.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
That was the 18th dynasty. Go ahead.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
Let us deal wisely. The first way they do it, spiritually. The second way, economically. The third way, watered down education. You watch that, you would think that black people is doing A-OK for themselves here in Babylon the Great. In spiritual Egypt, where they served hard bondage, right? Now go to Jeremiah 29. Let's read 4 through 7 real quick, because I don't want you to, because we watched that and then you be like, oh man, see, I can't get up in this, man. They want you to be poor here up in America, man. I can't get down with these Israelites, man. Trying to get some money out here. We not seeing that. Jeremiah 29, let's read 4 through 7 real quick.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29 and verse 4. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have carried to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon.
Now look at this. This is how you know this, the wisdom of the Lord is double. Now this is literally talking about when we was carried from Jerusalem to the physical Babylon. What did we read in Revelation to let you know that this is also talking about now? What did we read in what did they call this place? What did we call it? Just say it, brothers?
Spiritual Egypt.
Nah, some of y'all got it wrong. I heard it. It's mixed. Somebody raise your hand and tell, what did God call this place? Who? Paul, raise your hand. Raise your hand and stand up and tell me. Paul. Where's the microphone?
Spiritual Egypt?
No! Let's give it to Simon. Yeah, that's why we got to pay attention.
Babylon the Great.
Babylon the Great, mother of harlots. So Jeremiah talking about now too, because we was carried away from Jerusalem. Read it again. Read that again.
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 4.
Just that bottom, whom I have carried.
Whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon.
But now it's spiritual Babylon. Spiritual Egypt. Spiritual Sodom. Now this is what you do when you get here. Read on.
Verse 5.
Speed up.
Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them.
Now, in order to build houses, you got to have some money. Eat the fruit, you got to have money. So we ain't saying walk around here and be poor and stand in a median and ask for some change, be like, I'm an Israelite. No, we ain't saying that. It take money to do that. You got to have a job. It's all right if you have a business. Nothing wrong with that. Read on.
Verse 6, take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished.
And that has happened. Read on.
And seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captives.
Obey the laws of the land. And that's what we teach. Obey the laws. Go ahead.
And pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace.
Now go to 3 John verse 2. Because there's nothing wrong with having some money. There's nothing wrong with being successful at all. Because there's a lot of it, what they show was success. Nothing wrong with that. Here lies the problem. 3 John verse 2.
3 John verse 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health.
Prosper and be in health. And be in health. Take care of your health, Israelites. Read on.
Even as thy soul prospers.
That's the problem. That's where the problem lies in. Has our soul prospered as a nation here in Babylon with all the prospering that they portray that we are doing? Has our soul prospered, brothers? Has our soul prospered, sisters? Here's the precept, 1 Timothy chapter 6. This is how you know your soul ain't prospering. You got all this money, but you're full of dead man's bones. 1 Timothy chapter 6, and let's read verse 9 and 10.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts.
Now, when it says they that will be rich, it ain't talking about getting education. It ain't talking about that. It's going to explain in the next verse what it's talking about of they that will be rich. Read on.
Which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Which while some coveted after,
they that wanted to be rich, they covet after it. It's covetousness to them. They'll do whatever they have to get that money. Therefore, your soul does not prosper. Because God said, He said, I wish above all that you prosper and be in health, as long as your soul is prospering in the process. And our soul will never prosper in that process of being prosperous with monetary things if we're not educated on who we are. We'll keep on breaking the laws of God. We'll keep on sinning. We'll keep on making our God angry at us, because we don't know what we're doing wrong. It's fine and dandy. We see all of that success that we seen on the screen as a people, but at the same time, God's angry with every single last one of them. Finish that out in verse 10.
They have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
They have done whatever they had to do to get that money. So yeah, you get money. That's why I'm talking about this is the way they destroy you. They deal wisely with you with that watered down education. All of that stuff looks good, the glitz and the glamour, but we are destroying ourselves as a people. The more and more and more we become successful, we destroying ourselves in the process, and we don't see it because it's shielded behind the money. Go to the next video. Black History Month shouldn't exist. Now that sounds harsh right there. Who would say that? Black History Month shouldn't exist. Let's see what he got to say about it.
President Black Guy, it's February, and I think we should get rid of Black History Month. And before you finish writing me that death threat, please just let me explain. I'm pretty sure my parents know this speech. I'm never going to be on BET after this. It's February, and in my opinion, one of the worst times of the year to be black in America. It's almost as if people have forgotten and are remembering your person again. Like, oh, hey, look, there's a black guy in this office. We should hear what he has to say because it's Black History Month. It's also a time for racists to be reminded they still hate you just because you exist and because people that look like you appear on TV just a bit more. And personally, I think it's all because of the ways that we treat Black History Month as a society. I mean, think about it. When is White History Month? Why don't we have a White History Month? I'll tell you why we don't have a White History Month. It's because every month of every year is White History Month. Every book, every biopic, basically every day celebrates white history, and that's the reason we have Black History Month to begin with. Black History Month was started in 1916 by black historian Carter G. Woodson.
Pause it.
Woodson wanted to...
So how many people by show of hands knew that it came from Carter G. Woodson? Show of hands. Oh, you can count it on one hand. We've been celebrating Black History Month, don't even know where it come from. It was created by Carter G. Woodson, 1916. That's where Black History Month came from. He's going to tell you the history of how it got there.
Was started in 1916 by black historian Carter G. Woodson. Woodson wanted the study of black history and the accomplishments of black people to be highlighted and appreciated in both academia and in wider American society. So in a combined effort with the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, he started Negro History Week. 50 years later, during the Civil Rights Movement, student groups on college campuses would petition that week be expanded to a month. And finally, in 1976, roughly 60 years after it was started, a sitting president would formally acknowledge Black History Month for the first time. Nowadays, because virtue signaling is really important on social media, we make a huge deal about brown faces for 28 days and then ignore them for the rest of the year, creating this dynamic of resentment among racists racists and disingenuous empathy among woke whites, like, oh, it's Black History Month, why don't we all listen to Cardi B and go watch Black Panther? Let's look at what's been taught during Black History Month.
Look at this, y'all.
It certainly isn't all Black history, since, you know, that would clearly take more than the 28 days of the shortest month of the year. Really, it seems to only be the stuff that doesn't make white people feel uncomfortable.
Pause it.
I would argue.
Remember, that's why I went to Exodus, because we in spiritual Egypt. So you have to go back to Exodus to find out how they dealt wisely with us while we were in Egypt.
Hey, Cap, that's heavy, man. They give us they gave us the history, but they dealt wisely on how they're gonna give it to us.
There you go. You caught it. They're gonna deal wisely of what they're gonna teach you. We ain't on FCN. We can't drop no bombs.
Man.
Go to Psalms 83. Let's read 1 and 2 real quick. Yeah, so Gerald Ford did give you Black History Month. That's a white man, if you didn't know. It's a white president. He gave you Black History Month. It used to be Negro Week. But you know what? Let's expand it. Let's give them a whole month. But make sure you teach them what we want them to know. Dealing wisely with us. Read that Psalms 83. Let's read 1 and 2 real quick.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So it is people that hate God. And when they hate God, it means they hate you because they know you are the people of God. Keep thinking that these white people love you. Keep on thinking that. You can be a fool if you want. They love you and your God as long as he's white. Oh, they love white Jesus when he's white. But when we go out there on the streets and we got the description of Jesus and we hold it up, his color doesn't matter. That means they hate you. They hate God. Keep thinking they love you. Read on.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel.
And the reason why they love that white Jesus is because white Jesus is going to forgive them for all the wrong that they have done to everybody on the face of the earth and grant them eternal life no matter what they did. That's why he has to be white, because we know if he looked like you, we know what we done to you. We know how we deal wisely with you. We've never told you that we gave you Black History Month and then we decided what we was going to teach you. We didn't tell you that. Negroes really think that the people that they push out, why you think they pushing Martin Luther King so much? He was a non-violent black man that let them hit him in the head with a brick, with a watermelon. Make sure these Negroes stay docile just like him. We cannot teach them those rick. Wow. We got a lot of watermelon. We got a lot of water. Don't teach them that, because no telling. They might not love us no more. They might gather themselves together. All right, read verse 3.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Let's make sure that we push out Martin Luther King, Barack Obama, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and now we're going to, we'll even throw in there, let's throw in George Washington Carver, because he made peanuts. He made peanut butter. Yeah, he made peanut butter. He's a plant doctor. Make sure you throw those 5 out there specifically. When you type in Black History on Google, those are the main faces that pop up all the time. They never mention Malcolm X, who lived the same exact time as Martin Luther King. Why you think they do that? Let us deal wisely with them. If we don't mention him, Negroes will forget. The only reason people still know about Malcolm X now is because we mention him. They see him in the videos. And Malcolm X wasn't about violence. He was just about protecting himself and gathering together as a people. That's what he wanted. Yeah, sure. Real quick. Give him the mic. Stand up. They make sure they teach you not about him. Go ahead.
Not just that, but when I was in high school, they didn't teach about Malcolm in Black History Month. They taught them about him during regular history, and they portrayed him as a pro-violence.
Yeah, they do that. They make sure they do that. They make sure they portray the Black Panthers as a violent organization too. But they was helping the community. They the ones that started, what's that thing? Food stamps. Like the WIC. That came from the Black Panthers. Breakfast for kids. That came from that school lunch you get, that breakfast for kids, that came from the Black Panthers. They make sure they don't mention that in history. Read verse 5 now.
Verse 5.
Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They're confederate against thee.
So all nations, not just including Babylon the Great, spiritual Egypt, they all of them are confederate to teach you that specific history in black history that will make you feel like you y'all been hearing this? I don't know if you've been paying attention. They saying do away with black history because black history is American history. They've been saying that a lot. Yeah. Do away with it. Black history is American history.
They're actually trying to do it. I mentioned that on FCN. They're trying to rename it not only American, human history.
Yep.
Human history.
Human History Month. Because black history is American history. That's them dealing wisely to cut the name of Israel off. Because if you don't know the true history of what happened to your people, only the feel-good stuff, when you come across Deuteronomy 28 and do you know about this? Nah, never heard of that. Well, what about this? Nah, never heard. You remember when they bombed the church? Nah, never heard of it. What about the Freedom Riders that ended up in a Nah, never heard of that.
We at camp today. Two young brothers. Here we go. We at Levi Camp today, West Palm Beach, Lake Worth. I got a lot of work to do, West Palm Division. The brother, we mentioned Proverbs 3:31, oppression, right? Oppressors.
Yeah.
He don't even know what oppressor mean. The word oppressor, he's
not oppressed.
He didn't know at all. Young brother, 21 years old.
Dang. Had to be 21.
And
go ahead.
And little black history fact, we talk about George Washington Carver. He was born into slavery.
Yeah.
And he was castrated when he was a child by the slave owners.
Yeah.
If you ever heard his actual voice, it's almost like
it's real high pitch.
Real high,
it's
like helium.
Yeah.
You know how you have the helium voice? He was a man with a voice that was higher than every woman in here. Because when he was younger, Esau chopped off his manhood.
Yep, because he didn't want him messing with his daughter. That's what he did to him. They don't tell you about that, about George Washington Carver. So go back to the video. That was a heavy point. I wanted to make sure we got that. They make sure they teach you history that makes them feel comfortable. Play that.
No, that would clearly take more than the 28 days of the shortest month of the year. Really, it seems to only be the stuff that doesn't make white people feel uncomfortable. I would argue Black History Month isn't really about black history. It's about only teaching the pacification of black people. You only hear about the good ones. You hear politicians talk about Frederick Douglass. Some people like Donald Trump talk about him like he's still alive. You might see something about Jackie Robinson or a Google doodle about Langston Hughes or James Baldwin. But where are the ad campaigns using the likeness of Huey P. Newton or Angela Davis?
They don't talk
Where are the primetime specials featuring speeches by Adam Clayton Powell Jr.? Why don't we see big budget studio films about the assassination of Fred Hampton? Why is it that Black History Month only ever seems to revolve around feel-good stories of the civil rights movement and things that took place after slavery? Teach America about the atrocities committed under the banner of slavery. Teach them about the nearly 3,500 black people that were lynched in this country from 1882 to 1968. Why don't we know about the terrorist attack on Black Wall Street in Oklahoma during one of the earliest mass displays of black wealth and prosperity in America? If you're going to keep Black History Month a thing, then don't sanitize it. We still live in a world where we love to talk about Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and gloss over his death. He was assassinated.
Yeah.
He was killed for resisting oppression and injustice and for trying to make the world just a little bit more livable for black people. Saying he died overlooks a significant part of history. If you're going to pretend like black people's lives only matter for 28 days out of the year, at least pretend their deaths mattered as well. Because if we don't reach further back into black history, then we're not teaching black history. We're teaching American history as white people would like to remember it. And if we aren't learning about all black history beyond the surface, then what are we learning? Other than the fact that black people are relevant once a year, like Santa Claus on Christmas. Has BHM taught America about the accomplishments of black Americans? Yes. When it comes to improving the lives of black people everywhere, what has Black History Month done on a concrete, tangible level? Has Black History Month...
That's heavy point. Black History Month has been since the 1976, right? He said, so since you're teaching all this positivity about Black History Month, the accomplishments that we have made as a people, what has it done? How has it changed the minds of the people? How has it affected us in a good way? It hasn't. We just went over some of the statistics. Okay. We still ain't got no money.
Look at this. This morning we was going over a class on all the inventors of like the LASIK eye surgery.
Yeah, a woman.
He made a good point. He said also, why isn't there picture on every eye doctor go to? When you go to the institutions of those places, why aren't our images on their places? Yes. Why?
It's white faces.
There's nothing but white faces everywhere. Even when you go to the CGI movies. Why don't on every movie theater you don't see a picture of who created it? Because they look just like us.
It was a black man that created the CGI. That whole
3D effect.
What you call it? That whole Infinity War and Endgame. The graphics came from a black man.
Yeah.
Wow. They the ones that created to make it look so real like that. That's a black man that did that. But we won't know that. They're not going to tell you that at all. That's watered down education. That's another way they deal wisely. Go back to that. He's almost finished on this.
Done on a concrete, tangible level. Has Black History Month improved the ways that the media portrays black men?
That's a good
point. Did Black History Month protect the name, story, or reputation of Trayvon Martin? Did it allow Eric Gardner to breathe? Did it allow Emmett Till to live out his childhood? Woo. Has it raised the careers of black people in the least racially diverse industries? Has it defeated racist stereotypes that people still believe in American society?
This is heavy.
Because I still can't walk home at night without making white people nervous when I'm behind them on the sidewalk. So you know what? No. You can keep your Black History Month to yourself, America, because I don't want it. Don't relegate my history to the shortest month of the year. Black history is American history, and it should be taught as such. And if we want more unity and to come together as a people, then we should treat black people, our personhood, and our history like it matters every day of every month and not once a year.
Pause. They will never do that because they are doing what with us, brothers? They dealing wisely. We can't feed y'all Negroes Black history all year. You might hear an Israelite and wake up. Hell no, we're not taking that chance, buddy. 1 month, 28 days, and guess what we're going to throw in the midst of that 28 days? Make sure them Negroes is buying chocolates. They mind is on some sex. The women want to get sexed up. And make sure they think this is the month of love while we dabble in a little bit of watered down Black history.
So it's 27 days, because that one day you ain't thinking about no.
Nah, you ain't thinking no Black history. Officer Luke, that's a good point. It's 27 days.
Hey, Cap. Shalom, leadership. They so crafty that if you really think about it, that whole week of V-Day, Valentine's Day, you trying to prepare for Valentine's Day. Yeah. And then in school, I know with my son, they teach him about presidents because Monday is President's Day.
Oh.
So they really crafty. So you only get like maybe 2 weeks.
Wow. And then it's watered down. That's amazing. Okay, so go to the picture that I got up here. Let's teach about some Black history that white people hate. That's why the class is called Black History, White Hate. This is what they don't want you to know. Pull that picture up about Black Wall Street. Pull it up. Hold on, we won't go into this. Where we at? It's a picture. I want the picture. I'm looking at it now in here. No, it's a picture, not an article. Come on, y'all, work with me. It's right after the video. Come on, I lined them up in order. Officer Azaniah, man. Abiel. The tribe of Abiel, all the way. Oh! Out of thin air. There we go. Lord. Okay, scroll down some. So, okay, there we go. Leave it like that. So, Black Wall Street. If you didn't know, Black Wall Street is 1921. Make sure you're writing these dates down, not just looking. Say Christianity. Take notes. This is back in 1921. So it's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had 600 businesses. This is in a small community. This ain't like the whole state. This is in one area. 630 square blocks. Okay, 600 businesses, 21 churches. You know that. 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, 6 private airplanes, plus a hospital, a bank, a post office, schools, libraries, law offices.
How many?
It don't say. No, it don't say on that one. Yeah. And even a bus system. Our own bus system. This is in a small area, 30 blocks, y'all. So everywhere you walk in is black people and black businesses all within this little area. I'll just make sure y'all see that, right? Go to the video. Go to the video. Now watch this. Remember, they only teach what makes them feel comfortable. Let's play that.
Something terrible happened here. And for decades, people didn't talk about it.
I was an adult before I ever heard about it. It was something that was hidden.
This entire historic community.
Never heard of it. It was hidden.
Bodies dumped in rivers, bodies dumped in mass graves. It was an absolute massacre.
This story isn't one you'll find in most history books.
Pause it.
And
she just here. Well, you won't find this. No. This is why we got to teach. This is why Job said, prepare your heart for the search of your father. David said, I remember the days of old, of ancient times. Because your enemy's dealing wisely with you on an everyday basis. You won't find this in history books. The only reason it's out there now is because somebody got hold of it and started putting it on the internet, and they couldn't refuse it. So they said, let us look into it too. Because it was here, so let's get out ahead and put our face in front of it and make them think we care. Nah. Go back to it.
This story isn't one you'll find in most history books. And almost 100 years later, the facts of what exactly happened that day are still unraveling.
So we're driving in what's known as Black Wall Street.
They put their
it's
face
where
on
one
it.
of the nation's worst episodes of racial violence took place.
In 1921, a neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma called the Greenwood District was a bustling community of black-owned businesses. Tulsa locals know that period of Greenwood's history as a kind of golden age.
If you can imagine just like an old-time downtown, things like movie theaters, pharmacies, hair salons, and so forth.
They called it Black Wall Street.
It was a mecca. It was a huge success.
But Black Wall Street was also an anomaly. It thrived at a time when the KKK was incredibly active in Oklahoma, and the nation had just been through the Red Summer of 1919, when white mobs murdered black people in dozens of incidents across the U.S.
That too.
There needed to be a sort of match or an igniter tossed on these embers. And that trigger event was an incident that involved 2 teenagers, Dick Rowland, 19-year-old.
So basically, Negroes is doing too good for themselves around us. They got too much. We got to find a way to destroy them and bring them back down to where we want them to be. Because for some reason, they have rose above the occasion. That's Deuteronomy 7:6. You just heard us say that the KKK was at an all-time high, but we got 600 businesses, private airplanes, hospitals, schools.
You know how they got that though? The land that they was on was poor. They told him to go to this Greenwood district. The land wasn't bearing no fruit or no vegetables, no nothing. He said, okay, y'all go out there. And then they left him alone because they thought it was going to die.
Yeah.
But then 600 businesses later, a movie theater later, and they came back in like, what the hell?
We got to find a way to destroy it. Go back to the video because they're gonna show it, how it played out.
That trigger event was an incident that involved 2 teenagers, Dick Rowland, 19-year-old black boy who's shine shoes downtown. Sarah Page, 17-year-old white girl who ran an elevator in a downtown building called the Drexel Building. He went to the building.
There you go, the good old white woman.
Something happened. Sarah Page began to scream. They both ran out of the elevator.
Now, we don't know exactly what happened in this elevator, but a day later, Rowland was arrested and taken to the courthouse. The local newspaper ran an article claiming Rowland had assaulted Page. Even though Page refused to press charges, the article was essentially a call to action for whites.
A large white mob began to gather on the lawn of the courthouse. Dick Rowland was in jail on the top floor. A number of black men, several dozen, marched down to the courthouse to protect him, some of them armed. There was a struggle between one of the black men in the small group and one of the white men in the larger group, and things sort of went south from that point.
Better leave these
Hundreds
white
of white people descended upon Black Wall Street, armed. Black residents withdrew behind the railroad tracks that marked off the Greenwood district.
Negroes are always
Some of them were
behind
armed
railroad
and
tracks.
fought back, but they were outnumbered by the white mob, which shot their way through. The white mob murdered, they looted, and they set fire to Black Wall Street.
Look at this.
This
Look
was
at the names
strategy, if you will, of how to deal with these communities, with these successful black communities. The effects were disastrous.
For 2 days, the Greenwood district burned. Martial law was declared, and the National Guard was brought in. By the time the massacre ended, Greenwood was in ruins.
It's the Tulsa
More than
massacre.
1,200 homes were destroyed, and
that looked like a bomb. Pause it.
Burned.
That looked like a bomb dropped on it in World War II. That's Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Those buildings, this is 20s. Those buildings was made out of concrete.
Yeah.
Bricks. Ain't no fire burning it down like that.
Yeah. Go back to it.
The exact number of casualties is harder to pin down. Some initially only reported that white people died. Others reported somewhere between 30 and 100 mostly black casualties. But estimates now put that number closer to 300. As for those that survived, thousands of them lived in tent cities in the months that followed, and were left to pick up the pieces of rubble they once called
Wasn't no
home.
stimulus package for that, huh?
After the massacre, the cover-up started. Records went missing from city files, including the very article that started it all. It makes photos from this time all the more important as part of the historical record.
Look at this, y'all.
But back in 1921, these images served a very different purpose.
Look what it says.
So photo postcards.
Postcard. They used the destruction of Black Wall Street as postcards, sending it one to another. Go ahead, let it play.
Were pretty widely distributed after the massacre. At the time, they were a part of white supremacist culture and kept as souvenirs of racially charged crimes. Now they're preserved to make sure this part of Tulsa's history isn't forgotten, and they paint a clear picture of how much destruction there was that day.
Look at that. Ruins
On
of
the
the race riot.
postcards, it's called the Tulsa Race Riot, a name that itself sort of erases what really happened.
By calling it a riot, it's a way of trying to rewrite the history, assuming that there were both sides at fault.
That's
and
dealing
that was not the
wisely.
case. I call it a massacre, and I call it that because that's what it was.
That's dealing wisely.
Greenwood eventually rebuilt, but nearly a century later, there's a part of this story that still haunts the city. No one actually knows where the victims' bodies are.
We've got to find our people. We've got to put them at rest. You know, if not, we'll continue to be haunted by what was done so many years ago.
Kavin Ross, a local writer, is one of many in Tulsa descended from people who lost everything in the massacre.
So in this cemetery, there are only 2 official victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Right. How many victims do you think there are?
After all these years, I think 300 is putting it mild.
In 1997, the city finally put together a commission.
We'll cut that. So that's a little bit of the Tulsa Massacre that ain't taught during Black History Month. Now, they mentioned one called Red Summer. Now, I never even heard of this till I watched the video. Go to the article. I think it's what we got of Red Summer. You was gonna say something, officer?
Yeah.
Oh no, hold on. Before we go to that, go ahead.
I just want to say real quick. You know that the people that committed those atrocities, they never serve trial.
No, not a day.
There was no judgment placed on them. They went back and lived their lives as normal.
They went back across the railroad tracks and lived fine and started and kept making, what does that say, 100 times more than the Negroes that was over there.
Yep, never paid a price for it.
Hey, pull up the video that's right after that, the Tulsa Race Massacre. It's a visual. This is because it just came out on The Watchmen on HBO. They opened up season 1 with it. Now here is a dramatization of what it was actually like to live during that time. Pull it up. I want you to see this. Remember, we saw those houses look like bombs dropped on them, right? This is what they did. They called the damn airplanes in. Let it play. We're going to be right behind you, okay?
We got to go now.
Get your thumb out your mouth, boy.
Obey. Come on. We got to go.
He told him, be strong. That's right there. That script hit it perfect. Go back to that script. That's a perfect script for it. Thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and have none assurance of thy life. Curses is real. Now let's go to that article of Red Summer. Red Summer. Like I said, I never heard of this until that. Now, a lot of us can't picture going through that stuff, man, but our ancestors literally, they lived through that. That's not made up. That's real. Now read that for us, soldier.
Hundreds of black Americans were killed during Red Summer. A century later, still ignored.
A century later, it's still ignored. How many of y'all ever heard about Red Summer? By a show of hands. Count them on one hand again. Boy, they did a number on us. Let's go to it. Let's read through it quick. Zoom in so everybody can see it. There we go. Read that quick. You gotta zoom out some. Okay, we'll take that. Read that.
America in the summer of 1919 ran red with blood from racial violence, and yet today, 100 years later, not many people know it even happened. It flowed in small towns like Elaine, Arkansas, and medium-sized places such as Annapolis, Maryland, and Syracuse, New York, and big cities like Washington and Chicago.
Everywhere. This is all over America. How come this ain't Black history? Hell, it happened everywhere. Go ahead.
Hundreds of African-American men, women, and children were burned alive, shot, lynched, or beaten to death by white mobs. Thousands saw their homes and businesses burned to the ground and were driven out, many never to return.
So you brothers and sisters that come from, this is more history of dealing with Judah here in America. You can tell how Judah had it hard. And this stuff lingers. Now, just think about this. The parents, because it said hundreds of African-American men, women, and children were burned alive, but the descendants of those people still carry these stories on. And on generation to generation till we get up till now. We like, oh, hey, man, you better watch out. You better watch how you talk around that stuff, man. You know how these white people get down. That's been passed on generation to generation. Read that. It was blamed.
It was branded Red Summer because of the bloodshed and amounted to some of the worst white-on-black violence in U.S. history.
Go ahead. Chicago's
bloody Red Summer. Century after riots, city grapples with segregation.
Read that. Beyond the lives.
Beyond the lives and family fortunes lost, it had far-reaching repercussions, contributing to generations of black distrust of white authority.
That's why they don't teach you it. They want you to trust in them. That's a part of dealing wisely. We can't teach them this sort of stuff because they will lose their trust in us, no longer depend on us. They will go back to gathering together, and they might mess around and get another Black Wall Street. And we can't have them doing that because our economy is based off the backs of blacks and Hispanics here. It depends on us. We can't let them know this. Go back to it.
But it also galvanized blacks to defend themselves and their neighborhoods with fists and guns.
Now scroll down some. Let me see the next paragraph. Okay, let's read that.
The people who were the icons of the civil rights movement were raised by the people who survived Red Summer. Said Saji Matthew, a history professor at the University of Minnesota. For all that, there are no national observances marking Red Summer.
Not one single mention of it. Go ahead.
History textbooks ignore it.
We gotta deal wisely with them.
And most museums don't acknowledge it.
Woo, go ahead, man.
The reason Red Summer contradicts the post-World War I era notion that America was making the world safe for democracy, historians say.
That's why you don't hear about it. Go back to let me see that paragraph again. It says history textbooks ignore it, and most museums don't acknowledge it. That's heavy right there, man. No national observances marking Red Summer when the kids that fought in the civil rights movement came from that. That wasn't in just one place either. That was all over America. Go to Psalm 94:16. Let me show you something. Go to Psalms 94.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
You will never stand up for your people when you don't know the true atrocities that happen to your people. You will never be able to come to that fruition of answering the call of God. Who's going to stand up for me? Well, if you've been fed the watered down history every Black History Month of what really happened, you won't answer that call. You'll pass it on to somebody else. When it takes each and every one of us to stand up and rise up against the evildoers. Read that again.
Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
Okay, go to Isaiah 28:15. That's why history is so important. And I know a lot of our people hate history. You don't like it, nothing. Go ahead, Cap.
And you see how they said it boldly, how they already took the history out of the textbooks.
Yeah.
So imagine what they're doing now. What level are they now? What are they taking out now?
Yeah.
Remember, I just told you earlier, at camp, 21-year-old boy still doesn't know what oppressor means, the word oppressor means. So imagine, he probably went through the same school system, the public school, and they do not have that information available for them.
Well, Cap, it's not like they're taking it out now. What they're doing, they're replacing it with things to distract you.
Yeah.
Now you have the sports, the games, all these different pagan customs, one after the next. They are now built into the system.
Yeah.
We're no longer, there's no need for this anymore.
Nah.
There's no need for books anymore. You Google, and they're not even Googling history.
Nah. You saw, they showed what the most searched for
the
stuff.
most searched for.
Dance routine, NBA athlete, tap dancing, Pulitzer Prize winner. That was Kendrick Lamar. It was mainly entertainment stuff. That's what they're searching out instead of the history that happened to us as a people.
So when you go to camp now, we are trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
It's something that it's already embedded in the system.
Yeah. And the worst part about it is when you're trying to bring out historical facts to tie it with the Bible to make it real, it don't interest them, and guess what they do? They walk the hell off. I ain't trying to hear none of that. Red Summer, I don't care. Black Wall Street, Tulsa Massacre, I don't care about none of that. Show me how to get some money. Show me how to get famous. Can you teach me how to be an Instagram model? Can you teach me how to be a social media influencer? Can you teach me how to be a rapper? That's what matters to me most. Officer Elliott. I'll tell you, it's frustrating too, man. I'll tell you, Soldier, that as I found out.
But they're quick to push the LBG thing on our children.
They quick to push that.
Now, Cap, remember in the video you played earlier with the kids, now they use the kids, but remember they put a real small spot. Make sure you vote.
Yep.
So they put it in this. It's subliminal. So they put it where the message goes out to show that you know what, your hope is in voting.
Yep.
Your hope is in.
And you know who does that a lot? Roland Martin. If you ever watch him, y'all, the morning shows he has, Roland Martin, he pushes voting and the whole, not really silver, but the whole democracy thing, and he equates to the voting and the democracy as this is how we have gotten to so much success that we now have. That's why it's so important for you Negroes to get out and vote, so we can get more and more success compared to what our ancestors had at first. That's what they do. They pushing our success with voting.
There's that vain help.
Vain help. Go ahead, Kat.
And that's very important, because the oppressor that we have, the enemy that we against, remember, who knows what landmines are? Landmines. Explain what a landmine is. Luke.
Give them a thighs. Give them a thighs.
How do during the military, during times of war, how do the enemy use landmines?
A landmine is like a trap where they set up.
Okay.
And they put it under the ground where you can't see it.
Right.
And whoever steps on it, it releases the power and then it explodes.
Do they only use one landmine?
No, they use multiple. And
they put them where?
In different spots.
Right. Yep. So you'll hear little hints of wisdom coming from these brothers, right? Like Roland Martin. What's the other one? Umar Johnson.
Cornell West.
You'll hear little hints of it. But this is how important the Bible is, the wisdom of the Bible, because these brothers, they think they deep.
Yeah.
But then when you let them talk a little bit more, you hear the landmine.
Yep.
That landmine that was planted by your oppressor.
Yep.
That's why they'll say something deep, fake the phone. Now he's wearing dashikis in his videos now, right? Roland Martin.
Oh, yeah, Roland Martin.
Roland Martin's wearing dashikis.
Be wearing them
He's
too.
Black Power. But you let him talk, there you go, voting.
Yep.
Probably got a Christmas tree next time.
What is that? Black economic power.
There you go. You let one of these deep brothers that speak long enough, they'll step into one of the landmines and you'll find a group of Negroes and Hispanics right there stepping into that same landmine.
Because every time, or a lot of times you see him on his show, he have Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yep. Yep, he'll have that on there. They'll be like Black Power, Black Unity. Make sure y'all have a happy Christmas. Landmine, gotcha. Read Isaiah 28:15. We got some more videos here.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement.
Now, the reason why I wanted to go here is because when you turn a blind eye to the true history and oppression that happened to your people, and you only want to hear the feel-good stories of black history, you have made a covenant with death, and you are in agreement with us being in captivity. Because once our people search out the stuff that happened to our fathers, like it says in Job, we remember the days of old, the true days of old. What happens? You begin to search out and seek for answers. Something comes in your mind, like it says in Deuteronomy 28:46. You shall call them to mind. Why is all of this happening to us? I need answers. And you're going to go search for that answer, and guess what you're going to find? Israel united in Christ. Black history, white hate. Oh, let me see what that's talking about. You click on the video like, dang, they pulling Bible scriptures and they got articles that go just right along with it. That makes perfect sense. I understand. This is the rest that I was seeking. Now my soul can be at rest. Let me go find my way into that, into one of them congregations with them and get built up and change the future outcome of my people by repenting. But when you turn a blind eye to that, oh, here go these Negroes again talking about that gathered together black people. Don't they know all lives matter? Thumbs down. On the YouTube, thumbs down. Why y'all teaching all of this gathered together? All lives matter. Jesus died for everybody. Read verse 15 again.
Verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death.
That death is the white man. He brings death everywhere he goes. Hell, he's brought death to our doorsteps a lot of times. You've seen it in the videos. He was the one going throughout all America in 1919, the Red Summer, bringing death to our people in Chicago, Arkansas, Maryland. He dropped bombs on us in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Killed men, women, children, and kids. He brought death. And read that again. Because ye have said.
We have said we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement.
We are in agreement with us being in captivity on the bottom. Don't tell me about none of that stuff. What about all the good stuff that has happened to us here in America? Tell me about that. Make me feel good. You in agreement with that. Now, and it just didn't happen to Judah here in America. Pull up that next video that we got up there. The short history. Officer Abaddon put this up for me in the groups. Pull up that video, because it didn't just stop here. It reached to the other areas too. Wherever this white man is at, he's bringing death and destruction to our people. Pull up the video. Hit play on that.
A ship full of African men, women, and children who were at the mercy of the captain and all the sailors on that crew.
That's Israelites.
And those men could have sex with anybody they wanted to. The women, the children, and the men.
You had to see 3 months tied down with these white men. There ain't no women there for the most part. When they start bringing women, they weren't even bringing women. They were bringing girls between the ages of 6 and 15 and raping them all. But they also were raping the men. Same things are happening on the plantation to demasculinize the black man.
They don't talk about
control the slave population is to rape a father in front of his sons, or to take the biggest, baddest black man on the plantation and do something horrible to him.
Now, does anybody know what this was called by showing hands? Anybody who? Let's see. Let me go to the back. Who's that in the? Manasseh, way in the back. What was this technique called that they was doing?
Buck breaking.
Buck breaking. Demasculize the man. And they doing it now. It ain't changed. They just changed the form. They gave you money to dress up in a dress. I showed it earlier. That's why this place is spiritual Sodom. They just changed the tactics. We can't keep beating them because they're going to rebel. Just give them money to make them feel good about dressing up in the dress. I can't do it. Demasculinize. Go back to it.
Control the slave population is to rape a father in front of his sons, or to take the biggest, baddest black man on the plantation and do something horrible to him to completely humiliate and emasculate him so that people won't respect him anymore. And that still happens to this day.
In the Caribbean, they had seasoning plantations, which were plantations used to break the slaves. And one plantation or one place that had a lot of seasoning plantations was Jamaica. And people have to wonder, what were they doing on these seasoning plantations that was worse than what was happening on the regular plantations? Well, one thing that they were doing on these plantations, especially in Jamaica, they were doing a process called buck breaking, where the white supremacist slave owner or the white supremacist overseer would literally rape black men in front of the whole black population in order to break his spirit, in order to break him down as a man, in order to show dominance against him, in order to show the rest of the black population that this is not your leader. I just made you a
pause
leader.
It real quick. Pause it. Somebody need to show D. Wade this.
Right.
They didn't show him this. This is exactly what happened right here, and this is what he's doing to his son on autopilot right now.
Yeah.
By default. Buck breaking.
Dang. Go back to it. Yeah, Snoop Dogg too. I just saw that picture. That was crazy.
The rest of the black population that this is not your leader. I just made your leader submit to me sexually. And this happened a lot in Jamaica. This is why homosexuality is so looked down upon in Jamaican culture today.
And it was a way primarily of cutting down those who would rebel. In other words, it was a matter of power and control and domination. And they would call it buck busting, but it was really butt busting.
Slavery continued until 1865 for about 2 generations, right? So how do you reconcile that? You can no longer bring in Africans, but you still have the business of slavery. So they still needed Africans to do the work down south, especially after the cotton gin was invented. So you had the creation of breeding farms. 2 of the largest slave breeding farms
goodbye, Uncle Tom,
in the United States were on the eastern shore of Maryland and right outside of Richmond, Virginia.
Well, I thought they was free up there in the north.
People like cattle.
Maryland, I thought they was free.
A strong black man have sex with a healthy black woman. That woman could be his mother, his sister, his aunt, his cousin. It didn't matter because the end product was produce a child that I can sell, bodies that I can sell and ship down to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. It was a business.
We had breeding farms in the United States that would put one person from one plantation against another. We even had a system.
Hey, real talk. Now, this is how you know this is true, man. I know y'all been somewhere. Somebody call you, be somewhere, be like, "Hey, man, I saw somebody look just like you." Where? They live in Texas. I ain't never been to Texas. Why you think? Your ancestor, man. Now let's get that in. I'm gonna show that in the scripts real quick. Get Joel. Let's get Joel. We almost finished here. Let's get Joel chapter 3, and let's read verse 3.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 3.
Well, let's start at verse 2.
Verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel.
So Joel is talking about World War III. All nations in the Middle East in World War Israel for the nation of Israel. Read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Scattered us through the slave trade, 1492 conquest, 1619 slave trade. And when we got scattered and left Jerusalem, they parted the land. Between who? The Arabs, the Palestinians, and the Jewish white man. The Bible's a true book. Sent away the real people and then parted the land between two different people, two different nations. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people.
So what's the highest price? Who will give me $100? Who will give me $200? Who will give me $300? Give me this bed witch. Who wants this big buck right here for $500? Go ahead.
And have given a boy for an harlot.
It did what?
Given a boy for an harlot.
Hey, this is why Christianity does not want you to read the Old Testament. This is why they deal wisely with you when it comes to teaching history. If you see that talk buck breaking, butt busting in Jamaica and breeding farms, and the biggest black man was made to sleep with all the strongest women. And it says right here, read that again, verse 3.
Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people.
They sold us.
And have given a boy for an harlot.
Well, I learned in school that they made the man bucks. Whores, whoremongers. Let me put one and one together. Obviously, Joel must be saying black people are what, brothers? Israelites. Dang, that's a good point. Read that again.
Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot.
Now, Captain Severus made a good point. What did they call grown men on plantations? What they call them? Boys. And made him into a whore, impregnating all the women so they can make more slaves and ship them down south. And that was in Maryland, where you were supposed to be free in the north. They've given a boy for a harlot. Read on.
And sold a girl for wine that they might drink.
Go back to that video. This is black history that white people hate. Play that.
Put one person from one plantation against another. We even had a system where if you were a breeder, male on one plantation, and a female on another plantation, or even on the same plantation, even if you were mother and son, they would mate you. And so I tell a lot of my patients and a lot of my friends,
she's a psychiatrist.
You got to stop using the MF word, because that was a description of what actually happened when the paper bag would go over the head to put one breeder against another when they were related.
That's where it came from. Nah, put the bag over your head and whipped you and said, have sex with her. Pull that picture back up. I want them to see the image.
You ain't even know that was your sister.
Didn't know it was your mama.
You ain't know if it was your mama. Oh, your granny.
That's where it comes. MF-er. Play the video.
You know who knew? You know who knew? The slave master.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't care. That his job was to breed slaves. I'm telling you, baby, when you research this stuff, boy,
hey, you know what it does? It makes you want to stand up against the workers of iniquity.
Yep.
Play the video. We almost finished. Okay, that's it. Okay. Oh, okay. Just drop it. We can drop it. Go to the next video, because it didn't also just hit Benjamin. It hit Northern Kingdom. Pull up the video, and I want you to start. Let me see. Start at 1430. Start at 1430 on that video, and let's see what Northern Kingdom has to say about white hate. Play that. This would be Asher, because I think this is Peru. listen to what he says. Y'all.
In December 1990, in Colombia, 3 leaders of the Ica people were killed by paramilitaries in league with the Colombian army. They were on their way to meet government officials in Bogota to talk about health and education provisions and about land rights.
The whites who murder Indians, why do they do it?
The whites that murder Indians.
The Indians don't do them any harm. There is no point to it. Why do they feel that they must kill them like that? There is no reason. They do it just because they feel like it. For example, when there is a snake lying down, we beat it to death with sticks or stones, for the simple reason that a snake represents a danger. So, with the same logic, they've been killing us, with the difference that in our case, they are driven by their own perversion and savagery, without needing any reason.
Make sure you get this out. Don't
we live humbly. We have no weapons. We represent no danger. But they, through their pride of owning so many things, attack us as if we're of no value.
We're going to 1620. Okay, stop it right there. So that white hate wasn't also just on Judah. It hit Benjamin. It hit Northern Kingdom. They killed for. It said they killed for no reason. And a lot of times we be riding when we travel, going to different schools, and we see these big lands full of just crops and stuff. And oftentimes I'd be like, Gad could have just stayed right there. They could have just gave them that right there. It's fields as far as the eye can see. But they wanted to take everything. They couldn't even give them that plot of land. They killed for no reason. It's a video that is also in there. While we waiting on that, go to Matthew 13:52. Matthew 13 and 52.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13 and verse 52. Then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old.
So in this is a parable about Christ teach. He's telling us about teaching. Someone who teaches. We the teachers of our people. The treasure that we have is our history. Why is it a treasure to us? Because it didn't happen to nobody else on the face of the earth. That's the atrocities that had happened, atrocious as it is, it's still a treasure to us because we can lay claim to that. And when we bring out the scriptures, we can make the light bulb turn on. You are Israel. You that chosen people that God was talking about in this book. You can't compare it to nobody else. Nobody else can lay claim to this. Our history is a treasure to us. And being the scribe, which you are, it says, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. The new that you would have to pull out would be the present modern day history that's going on with our people. That's why a lot of you, if you in MOV, we let you teach Deuteronomy 28. Yeah, and a lot of the first time you do, you go through the old. But then we say, bring it up to today. And then a lot of you say, dang. Let me get back to you on that. But you as a scribe, as a teacher, it's your job to pull out the new, the modern day history, and the old, that which has happened in the past history. Read that verse again.
Verse 52. Then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old.
New and old. So you brothers, like I said, that's why Job, when he said, prepare your heart for the search of your fathers. Yes, first and foremost is talking about us in the scriptures. Next is talking about what happened to you historically. where you can pull from those examples and make the Bible come to life. Give me that. Go to the video up there about sharecropping. It's the last video that's in there. Now, a lot of times, Black History, they don't mention this at all. This is Belgrade, Florida. We was just up there, right? Let's play that.
For a few hours. They come here with one thought in mind, is to survive till the end of this season and save enough money to get to the next state, going north.
From towns like this throughout Florida and throughout the South, the 2 to 3 millions move out on their annual migration, which ends in late November.
This is sharecropping.
They carry with them whatever little they possess, whatever little they are. At the Okeechobee labor camp, while families were preparing to move north, there was still some work in the bean fields. Children, as usual, were left to fend for themselves.
Just run wild.
Jerome, how old are you?
9.
9? Do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school, Jerome?
At the Okeechobee Elementary School.
I see. What is your sister's name?
Lois.
That's Lois.
Lois.
And what are your other sisters' names?
Catherine and Beulah.
Catherine and Beulah.
Them some old names, ain't they?
What happened to your foot, Jerome?
Dig a nail in out there by the wash house.
So you drove a nail in out by the wash house. What did your mother do for that?
She put some alcohol on it.
Where do you sleep?
That's all she had.
In his bed.
He can't
You
walk,
have
y'all.
this big bed?
Yes.
What happened? How did you get that hole in that bed there, Jerome?
The rats.
The what?
Rats.
Now, Jerome, you are taking care of Kathy, of Beulah, and Lois.
Yes.
Now, are you going to give them lunch today?
Look at the lunch.
What are you going to feed them?
I don't know, sir.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Pause. Go back to that. Go back a little bit. Go back to that a little bit. Look at that. That's pause. That's sugar, salt, Morton salt, milk. That's that pasteurized milk. Some cereal in the back. That's all. Cornmeal. That's all he got. Left to fend for itself to feed the 3 kids. And y'all gonna meet the mama a little bit later. Let it play.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Yes.
I see.
That's slop.
What time does your mother come home?
I don't know, sir.
The following day, Aline King, the mother of Jerome, Kathy, Lois, and Beulah, again was picking beans.
You don't see nobody else
Aileen
out there in
King,
the field.
I saw your children yesterday at the Okeechobee camp. Why didn't you put them in the nursery?
I don't make enough to pay for it.
How much does it cost to put them in?
85 cents.
85 cents.
That's right.
Aileen, what time did you come out the field this morning?
6 o'clock.
What time would you get home?
About 3:30, 4 o'clock.
6 this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's
10-hour shift, right?
How much did you earn?
$1.
$1?
Wow.
$1.
Is that because the beans were of poor quality?
That's right.
Has this happened before?
That's right.
How much will your food cost you today?
About $2.
Aileen, how old are you?
Hold on, pause it.
How many children?
What did she say? Her food, the food costs $2, but she only make $1? Now you see why that little kitchen thing of the food look like that. Run it back a little bit just so we play it from her.
About $2.
Aileen, how old are you?
29.
How many children do you have?
14.
Stay! Stop. Pause it. Stop.
Hey, any mathematicians in here? She's 29. She's got 14 kids. How old was she when she had her first one? At least 15 years old. Because that's once a year. One child every year until she's 29. She's 15. Let's say she skip a year. That's 14. That's 13, 12.
Dang.
She got 14 kids.
14 kids. She make $1 a day, but to feed all of them, it costs $2. You think all them kids is eating? Somebody's not eating on a daily basis.
14 kids.
Let that play again, man.
How many children do you have?
14.
How old were you when you first started working in the fields?
8.
You've been working 21 years in the fields?
That's right.
Look for this.
Aileen, do you ever think you'll be able to get out of this kind of work?
No, sir.
All the migrants travel fourth class. If there is a privileged class, they ride in their own jalopy, in the best Jode family tradition.
All right, we cut that. Woo, read Matthew 13:52 again, man. This is why history is so important.
Verse 52. Then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old.
So here's the reason why you have to take your study in history, the search of your fathers, serious and not slack on what is required of you. Nehemiah 8:8. This is why you have to be able to pull out of the new and the old, for this reason here.
Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 8. So they read in the book of the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading.
So you being the scribe that is supposed to teach the people, you might come across somebody that doesn't understand the old. Well, okay, well, you can't go that far back. Where are you going to have to pull from now, brothers? The where? The new. Okay, so maybe I'm teaching somebody that's a little bit older than me. They're in their 50s and their 60s. They don't understand the things that are going on in the new and the present. Where am I going to have to reach back and teach them from? The old. A lot of times we be teaching and we are not seasoned as a scribe. We have not taken our search for our fathers diligently, and we have not searched out the ancients. We have not remembered the days of old, and we get stuck when we come across somebody that knows nothing about the old, and we can't draw in the new, reach our hand and pull some stuff out of the new bag. We come upon somebody old and they don't know nothing about what's going on today. They can't work no phone. They don't know nothing about no internet. They don't know what's going on in what's that up in Michigan about the water and stuff. They don't know nothing about that stuff. They don't watch news. So you got to reach in there and pull some stuff out the old, and you can't do it, and you be stuck. And now there is no more. Read verse 8 again.
Verse 8. So they read in the book of the law of God distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading.
Now you can't cause them to understand the reading because you ain't equipped enough as a scribe. I'm going to end it off on this one. So it says, remember, they dealt wisely with us in the physical landmass of Egypt, and we are now in spiritual Egypt. The first way they do it, spiritually. Bunch of different gods. Second way, economically. What does that say? We make 10 cents compared to every dollar they make. Third way, watered down education. They teach you about yourself only if it makes them feel comfortable. So you brothers remember that. Black history, white hate.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.